Hi friends, my name is Madhura Joshi. I'm an architect and research intern for Heritage for All Internship 2019. So we are in the fourth week of this research internship, and for the fourth week I have selected a theme, the cultural significance of rural identity to the upcoming generations. To understand this theme, I have selected a case study of Darap village in Sikkim state. Through the study of this particular village, I wanted to explore the community based rural tourism model and how that community based rural tourism model can preserve the rural identity and cultural significance for younger generations, for tourists, for visitors, and the challenges of this process to maintain and protect the identity. So, when we talk about India, the tourism in the country has developed so much and grown so much for last 15 years. The contribution of tourism to the national gross domestic product and employment creation has increased by overall 15%. The reason for this tremendous growth is a digital connectivity, promotion, and a diverse tourism experience available in the country for visitors. But India's many destinations are facing external environmental shocks, threat of a global warming, sea level rise, as many other destinations across the globe. The growing mass tourism has created unwanted environmental and social pressure and effects that are completely overlooked under the shadow of economic input by tourism. So it is very important that we need to understand, explore, and start implementing alternative tourism model and start focusing on more of a sustainable tourism concept where the people offer small scale accommodation units, showcase their cultural heritage while getting economical benefits and social benefits out of tourism, out of activities without having any adverse impact on local culture, environment, and the rural identity. This alternative and a new age tourism involves travel to a particular destination which has rejected conventional ways of traditional approach of tourism. So we will understand a comparison between a mass tourism and an alternative tourism in a rural context. The alternative form of tourism cover all types of tourist activities from small scale tourism to soft tourism, green tourism, nature tourism, integrated tourism, adventure tourism, community based tourism, ecotourism, sustainable tourism, etc. So, major indication of alternative tourist activities is that alternative forms of tourism and tourists will have a fewer and less severe negative effects on a destination area. They will have lesser impact on the environment of that place, and their population will not disrupt the economic effects on particular destination. So, with this growing concept of alternative tourism and issues created by global warming, Government of India has identified diversity in tourism sector and developed a tourism policy in 2002. In that policy, the government started focusing on rural areas, more of a community based tourism, by introducing the concept of rural tourism to showcase the rural life of Indian countryside to visitors. Under this policy, Government of India shortlisted 107 villages across the country. To understand this policy and understand one of the project output, we need to see the benefits of community-based tourism model, how it has helped to preserve the cultural significance, how it has try and maintain the rural identity, what are the challenges, and whether the community-based tourism model can really help in protecting cultural identity and maintaining cultural significance of particular place or not. When we see at the rural community based tourism as a concept, that particular term or a concept can be placed in the heart of alternative and a sustainable development discourse, which emphasize the importance of control of the local communities. In tourism development model, to create an impact, it is very important to follow community participative planning process. which involves the participation of all the stakeholders, communities, politicians, agencies, government offices, NGOs, to ensure that wider participation is happening and the conscience building is happening in the community. When we see the tourism concept in the developing countries, it has always been looked at as an important tool to eradicate poverty in rural areas. Although there are no studies to prove this particular concept that rural tourism is helping in developing world to eradicate the poverty. So it is very important to understand and explore challenges in developing world like India, where the community-based tourism model has implemented by government in particular area, and what are the challenges and what are the outcome of this particular project. So when we see community-based tourism as a model, it is often viewed as a more sustainable alternative to traditional mass tourism, as it allows community to directly deal with the visitors. The main goal of the CBT concept is to reduce poverty by creating income, reduction in isolation of the development by bringing more visitors to their villages, and very important is keeping alternative income source to rural economy and not replacing it only to the tourism. In India, 45% of ecotourism and nature related destinations where community participation is really important. It provides enriching experiences to the guest where community controls the resources. In community-based tourism, there are two ways of implementation. One way is to project managed by individual or households comprising the community as a communal enterprise. And the second way is tourism is managed by a private entrepreneur whose activity agenda is set by the community and the community is accountable for it. The community-based tourism process creates awareness about the environment, biodiversity issues, and encourage environmentally sensitive and sustainable practices by locals as well as tourists also. The community participation has three types in the context of tourism development and heritage management, ecotourism, agrotourism, so on. Where the participation have a different types like coercive participation, induced participation, and spontaneous participation. And we need to bring the right balance as explained in this particular figure, that the local people, entrepreneurs, the balance between a social economy and environment is very important in community-based tourism. When we see the concept of induced participation, in that the local residents have a say in the management of a tourism development process. They have no actual power or control over the decisions being made by those in position of authority. That comes under induced participation. In coercive participation, that has a lowest level of participation by the community with no power over the course of tourism development, and involvement is very limited to only tourism destination promotion or small jobs like tourist guides and drivers and etc. to gain little bit of economic benefit from their own place. Third is a spontaneous participation, where local residents have the power to make decisions, they control the development process, they get the benefit out of it, and they see through the entire process, they maintain the process. So to understand this entire concept in relation with the cultural identity, significance, rural identity, and how the younger generation is participating or not participating or facing some challenges through the study of Darap village in Sikkim state. Sikkim state is a part of Himalayan region with a very beautiful and a diverse rural settings up north, where the seat settings and the landscape is very suitable and are famous for rural tourism. Tourism plays a significant role in the economy of the state. The Sikkim state is one of the largest revenue generating sector after agriculture, mining and a forest in the country. The region has mountains, forests, valleys, rivers, lakes, abundance of natural spots. The 0.2% of the geographical area of the country has a tremendous biodiversity, which falls under Himalayan Biogeographic Zone, and Central Himalaya Biotic Province is under Sikkim state. So recently, the UNESCO project for the development of cultural tourism, ecotourism in the mountain region of a Central and Southeast Asia started a project with the Norwegian government. In this project, they aim to promote a cooperation between the local communities, national and international NGOs, tour agencies, in order to involve local population fully in the employment opportunities, income generating activities that tourism can bring in a new form to rural tourism in India and a village tourism. The initiative to develop the village as a tourist destination by using local resources was taken up by a local NGO in Sikkim state named as a Darap Eco Development Committee, which was formed in 2005. Darap is a small village located in the west of Sikkim at an altitude of 5,100 feet above sea level. This village is chosen as a successful project of a community-based tourism development model by the Government of India Tourism Ministry. The word Darap is a tribal word which means flat land in a Limbo tribe language. The temperature in the valley ranges from 5 degree to 28 degree throughout the year. So having such a beautiful and a pleasant presence, a beautiful temperature, the region has a presence of many rare endangered species of flora fauna, various unique rare aspects of Limbo tribe's cultural heritage, different trees, different food culture, and a diverse agriculture. The village is inhabited by 95% of Limbo tribe population, and they have a special pride for their richest cultural heritage, which you see similarly in the other parts of Sikkim as well. With a diverse cultural heritage and a presence of a natural environment, Darap became a major village tourism and an offbeat travel destination of Sikkim state, and also for its sustainable tourism practice through community-based tourism development model. So it became very important to understand the setting of a village and how they have managed to keep their cultural significance intact by promoting their community-based rural tourism. In Darap village, it has a natural landscape with a vernacular homes converted into homestays. Tourists in Darap can pick and choose from an array of products ranging from trekking to picnic, meditation, farming. Also, they can arrange for visitors mountain biking. People can learn local language, learn local cooking. In this village, rural tourism model gives activities like milking cows, staying in rural vernacular homes, which are called homestays, gardening in the fields with the villagers, walking to nearby villages, processing of cheese and butter traditional way with the villagers, hiking to topmost mountains in and around the Darap village, engaging in daily village activities, and similarly visit nearby destinations around the village. Darap has many ancient 100 or 200-year-old limbo houses, which are made with solid mud floors and tar-encrusted ceilings from the constantly burning fire, and that has been passed down from generation to generations of Limbo tribal people. The village community group has identified potential destination for visitors and created an infrastructure to develop the tourist spots. Currently, 20 homestays and house owners are registered with this particular NGO. Each family has 2 to 3 single or double bedrooms to accommodate the tourist. The local residents of Darap and president of Darap Ecotourism Committee received an award for the state's Best Tourism Development Committee in 2020 by Department of Tourism, Government of Sikkim. And also it has really received an award called Top 10 Locals in Tourism in the World by Guardian in UK around 2012. The Darap village community work as a team to manage tourism facilities and tourist resources in a proper manner. The different work of facilitation of tourists are divided amongst the community member that they work cohesively for a fine tour experience. So the output of a community-based tourism became very important to understand in the case of Darap village, where environmental biodiversity uh, is very rich. The accessibility to such location is difficult, and sometimes the difficult accessibility helps to keep the cultural heritage intact. In case of Darap village, the community-based participation has created 75% of jobs, and incomes have tremendously increased from accommodation, homestays, selling of handicrafts, food, and different tourism-related activities. Also, outsiders or some proactive entrepreneurs of the area couldn't exploit the natural and cultural resources of the Darap village because of active participation by the community. So, if community participates in the tourism, they can decide what kind of tourism they want to use in their resources and how they want to divide their cultural and natural resources. So, in case of Darap, I have listed down the learnings under different categories. So, first category was capacity building and a training. After studying the case of Darap village, the study shows that the community-based tourism development in this particular village have the major problem in training the villagers systematically. Villagers have received training from local NGOs and government, but the primary survey of the villagers revealed that there are many gaps in the training, and that has resulted into the output of tourism-related activities, price, service, maintenance, and so on. There are still areas where the NGOs needs to venture to bring more professionalism in their activities. They need to encourage community to be more sustainable in their community-based tourism initiatives. They need to train community for more marketing at different platforms. Uh, a uniform pricing system needs to require and implement in the Darap village case. Language is a major problem, an obstacle for tourists coming to this village, and tourists are often dependent on the guide for interpretation. But the guide is not always readily available, so they bring guide from main cities of Sikkim. So those guide took jobs from Darap village communities. So the incapacity building, that community-based tourism development, the main issue was a training structure and training process was not implemented very well, and there were many gaps, and that needs to develop further. Then second part was poor state infrastructure. The local community's participation in the management plays very important role. But in case of Darap village, community is not happy with the facilities provided by the state. Road conditions are very bad. They don't have adequate support system for toilets, waste management, drainage system, drinking water system. So for growing tourist population, the community facing difficulties to manage the visitors' experience, community-based tourism initiatives, and their daily activities, managing their family household activities is becoming difficult, and that has hampered to output of CBT. Another important part was finance and homestays. Homestay tourism can also be linked to the community-based tourism, but it may not be true for all areas that homestays are benefiting the community. Sometimes some entrepreneur in the community opens them at individual level. In community-based tourism, homestay model needs a careful planning, as it can lead to the loss of culture and disruption of ecology in the particular village. The mismanagement of homestays in single village at infrastructure level can harm natural and human environment. This model creates an unequal income generation in rural tourism, which can create a divide in rural communities' harmony. The conversion of rural houses and homestays depends on the availability of finances. Lack of financial support for renovation or expansion or restoration was one of the major issues faced by Darap villagers. Villagers don't have a guarantee of financial recovery from the homes. They don't have readily available loans. They don't have readily financial support as price that was one of the reason that prices were not subsidized and standardized for all the homestays across the Darap village. When we jump to very important aspect of cultural significance in Darap village, tourism can reinforce cultural understanding, local pride, but on the other hand, it can also contribute to the loss of cultural identity and induced conflicts in the host community. In addition, the impacts are not same for everyone in a tourist destination. It is vital to know it is vital to acknowledge that all people in the host community are not host, but still influenced by the tourism development in that particular area. What may be a benefit to one group within the community may be a cost to the neighbors. So, understanding this entire scenario, in case of Darab, community strongly believed that tourism has helped them to preserve and promote their uniqueness, their cultural heritage, and they take pride for developing their villages for community-based tourism. Darab villages mention in survey that tourism is not disrupting our tradition, instead it is helping to promote their cultural heritage. Their tradition is bringing money to their homes and alternate income has created, and they can showcase their culture in a better way to the world. When we talk about rural identity, which is after cultural significance and very important for younger generations of tourists and younger generations of Darap village, to understand what is actually a rural culture, what is actually rural village, what is rural heritage, and a cultural heritage of a particular place. The next phase involves in raising community awareness was about the issue of tourism development and seek the involvement of the community in determining the essence of the final product. It is the stage that deviates from traditional entrepreneurial approach to tourism planning as it integrates community residents in visioning and planning for their community's future in relation to tourism development. The participation of youth uh, from 20 to 35 years in Darap village was very low, and 60% of the youth thought that the involvement is not active in community based tourism because there's no direct finances available, there's no direct income available. They have to invest in particular activity or homestays or tourism related activities, and there are no fixed returns out of those economic activities in tourism. So one of the important thing is that the NGOs needed to encourage a sustainability, and it needed to encourage youth to continue the sustainable community-based tourism practice, protection of culture, heritage, and environment. That was one of the gap in related to rural identity. When overall we see a community-based tourism model, we understood from the case of Darap village that it needs a more strategic planning, in-depth research to understand the gaps in existing structure. The monitoring of current outcome needs to change with self-evolving mechanism which is led by locals. The community-based tourism is successful in one village, but that cannot be replicated in the rest of the country because each place has its own culture, ethos, natural topography, heritage, cooking habits, different festivals, and communal dynamics. Experts and policymakers and NGOs and stakeholders needs to conduct in-depth research and capacity building program in rural areas before promoting particular activity like homestays and a community-based tourism. There has to be a wholesome approach. There has to be a proper guideline and implementation proposal for each and every village in order to maintain the cultural significance of a rural identity to the upcoming generations as a participants, as a villagers, as a visitors, as different stakeholders. So it is a good learning from the study of Darap village that what problems we can face if we try and use community based tourism model to protect the cultural significance of rural identity to the upcoming generations. Thank you.